Looking at candidate number 2, and it's not a sexy name, but if you put a gun to my head right now and said Cam Stewart, host of Locked On Baylor, your only daily sports podcast on Baylor athletics that isn't coming straight from the university, who do you think of these 3 guys you're going to name is going to be the offensive coordinator at Baylor? This next guy is the one. Jake Spavital. You can't have it all, but you can have Spavital. Jake Spavital, does he check off the head coach? Yes. Is it a glimmering record? No, not at all. He was the head coach at Texas State from 2019 to 2022, 13-35 record, including 0-2 against Baylor, by the way. Not good. It was actually kind of a disaster at Texas State. G.J. Kinney has really turned around that program. But again, other than Ed Orgeron, you're not going to get a dynamite head coach. You're not. You're not going to get guys who are some of the best coaches in the country, winning coach of the year. None of that. But he knows the administrative side of this thing. He knows what it takes to be a head coach. Okay, Dave Aranda is still your head coach. So you're not looking for 2 head coaches. You're looking for an offensive coordinator who knows kind of how this thing goes. So Jake Spavital might have the most impressive coaches and players that he is coached alongside or coached up of anyone on this list. And everywhere he goes, it's an offensive stop. And you might be saying, well, Cam, of course, it's an offensive coordinator. But, Jeff Grimes is an offensive coordinator too. Wherever he goes, it's for defensive guys. And so he is always with these great defensive minds. Started as a GA at Houston back in 2009, okay, where he was coaching under Kevin Sumlin, who at one time was a great offensive mind, by the way. Not a terrific head coach, but a great offensive mind, and that was his best head coaching job was at UH, and OC Dana Holgorsen. And over his career, which has also landed at Oklahoma State, West Virginia twice, Cal twice, A&M. He's also now the current offensive coordinator at Cal, was just there for a year after leaving Texas State. And in that time, he has coached a top 20 offense in the nation 6 times. 6 times. A 7th that was between 20 and 25. But a top 20 offense 6 times. And what I like about him, what have you done for me recently, is he had a pretty good year at Cal this year. Cal as a program stinks. Just stinks. And nobody cares. They had a nice couple years under Sonny Dykes, in which he was also a coach under, we'll get to that. But Cal is not a great program, and they did not have a good football team in 2022. And so they've had this guy, Justin Wilcox, ever since Dykes left. So this is his 7th season. And in the first 6, they did not finish in the top 10 in the Pac-12 in points per game in any of those years. Any of them. This year they moved up to 7th, which is that earth-shattering? No. But to move that quickly in 1 year, to move up from 10 to 7 in what was a much better conference this year than last year, by the way, that's impressive. It actually really is. And just looking at the numbers and how they changed from 2022 to 2023, Cal went from 23 points a game to 32 points a game. A 9-point jump in 1 year. And all of this, by the way, was with a guy named Fernando Mendoza at quarterback. Numbers aren't great. I didn't even write them down. They're not great. But I mentioned that because he was a redshirt sophomore this year, and he was the only scholarship quarterback on the roster for Cal. The only one. So he's dealing with a bad offense that can't recruit offensive talent and that has one scholarship quarterback. No depth. And he's doing these numbers. So from 23 to 32. And by the way, Cal's defense also gave up 32 points a game. That's only one less than Baylor. So that's bad. That's a bad defense. And still, he's able to get his guys out on the field and compete in these games. And Cal, by the way, is a bowl team, which Baylor's not. 7-5 Cal, or 6-6 Cal. The Cal Golden Bears, better than the Baylor Bears this year in a better conference. Okay, so their yards per game also went up from 364 to 396. Again, 32-yard jump. That's pretty big. Here's the biggest one. So Spavital is big on tempo and passing. Okay, a diet air raid kind of offense. When you look at the place he's coached and the places or the guys he's coached under, like Holgorsen, and coaching at UH and Oklahoma State and West Virginia, A&M, all of those places, and even that first stint at Cal under Sonny Dykes in 2016, all of those places he was running the air raid. And now he comes in here at Cal with no talent and no depth. And so what he does is he starts to be more balanced. It's still a spread attack. There's great up-tempo, all of the exciting stuff that you saw 10 years ago in the Bryles offense. Are the numbers as good as that? No. But neither is the Bryles offense these days. Go STCU. But they spread the field out. They have good tempo, and they do put up points. And looking at the rushing numbers, so not even necessarily Spavital's MO, but he goes in there and he says, this is going to give me the best chance to win at Cal this year, 2023. In 22, they were last in the Pac-12 in rushing yards per game at 97. That's even worse than Baylor this year, who couldn't run the football. Dead last in the conference. This year, they were fourth in the conference. 10-spot move to fourth in the conference at 181. They added 84 rush yards per game in one season. This is not easy. Cal was a rebuild. He did that in one season. And the coaches he's coached under, I've mentioned a few: Kevin Sumlin, Dana Holgorsen, Cliff Kingsbury, and Sonny Dykes. Again, offense everywhere he goes. He has learned from some of the very best in this business. He's gotten a shot at head coach. It didn't work out that well. He goes to a struggling program to be their OC, and he turns it around in 1 year. Like, he is the reason that they are bowl eligible. Their defense stinks, but he has made it work with the offense to get them there. Okay, how about the quarterbacks he's coached? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. First place he went, Case Keenum, who threw for like 10 miles in college. One of the very best college quarterbacks based off numbers in the history of the sport. Okay? So that's his first stop. Second stop, Brandon Whedon at Oklahoma State. He was pretty good. If those kids of you out there don't remember, he was a cheat code with Justin Blackman out there at Oklahoma State when they should have won the national championship potentially in 2019. Okay, then he goes to A&M. Or excuse me, sorry. Then he goes to West Virginia when Dana has the job at West Virginia. Coaches Geno Smith as the co-OC and quarterback coach. You guys remember that, 2012? Yes, that was the game Baylor scored 63 points and lost. 70-63. They lost to West Virginia. They were putting up stupid numbers with Geno. Stupid numbers. And that was under Jake Spavital. Then he goes to A&M. Coaches a guy by the name of Johnny Manziel. Quarterback coach. Cliff was the OC. He coaches Johnny Manziel to the Heisman Trophy. And then when Cliff leaves the next year, Spavital becomes the OC. And the next year, Manziel has better numbers than he does in his Heisman season. And then a guy he couldn't hang on to, but recruited and gave the start to Kyler Murray at A&M. Wears out his welcome there. Goes to Cal. Davis Webb. Remember the old Tech quarterback, Davis Webb, who's still in the NFL, by the way? Yeah, he had a damn good year at Cal with Jake Spavital, where they were 10th in the nation in total offense. And then goes to West Virginia and has Will Grier. Guys, everywhere he goes, he has great offenses and successful quarterbacks. This guy has been around nothing but successful coaches, offensive coaches, and successful quarterbacks. This is a slam dunk. A slam dunk. The only issue here is Baylor might not be good enough to get him. Genuinely. It sucks to think like that Cal might be a better opportunity for him at this point in his career, but it might be. It's a place he's been out at for the second time, okay? He likes it there. But then again, on that flip side, he's like, look, man, I can come here with a kid like Sawyer Robertson. I've seen the big arm he has. I can go to Baylor and if I just do my thing, I'm gonna be a head coach in 2025. If I get people to notice me at Baylor in Texas again, that's gonna work. That's going to work. Or a high profile offensive coordinator job could absolutely be in the run. So I don't know. He's at Houston the next year because that's where Cliff Kingsbury's going to go, or he's with USC and Lincoln Riley, or somewhere like that, or Tech with if Zach Kitley's worn out his welcome. Texas guy. This is the best candidate on today's list that still has a chance of going to Baylor. Don't overthink this, and do whatever you can to get Jake Spavital in the door. Everywhere he goes, he has success. He's had the best offensive minds of this generation around him, and he's had some of the actual best college quarterbacks of a generation around him. Bring him in. Blank check, Jake Spavital.